you will achieve nothing by not putting yourself out there. Welcome back, Spice Fam. This is Ken from the Spice Dudes, and tonight, going to have another episode of KENTalk. And today's episode is going to be kind of special simply because we have video now. I'm testing out my new camera, and this is the first time ever that I'm going to be making a KENTalk with video on. I do hope that the recording or the quality of the video is going to be okay. If not, then maybe I'm just going to end up just using the audio file for that matter. Today's topic is something that I feel everyone is going to feel, regardless of the current situation we have with COVID-19. The topic is, should I rush into a relationship? Or rather, should I get into a relationship given that February 14th, Valentine's Day, is coming up? And I guess I do get asked this quite a bit. Surprisingly, some of you out there have been watching my episodes or our episodes on KENTalk and found that some of these are actually really helpful. So thank you so much for that. Really appreciate it, even though there are only a few. It really does give us the courage to continue on it. But yes, back to the topic on hand. Should I rush into a relationship? Or should I get into a relationship? I think that would be the better topic. And that really does depend on a lot of factors. Of course, people are going to be hating on me and they're going to tell me things like, oh, Ken, like you always say it depends. Oh, Ken, you never give us a yes or no answer. And yeah, like when it comes to relationships, I'm always going to be or are going to follow something called, or what I've called the we'll see approach. It's every step of the way. If you already have standards and limits and boundaries, you can check those out in the previous episodes of KENTalk. We have a sub-series called Dating, or mini KENTalk Dating. If you already have established standards, if you already established limits and boundaries, then you would probably see that you don't really need to rush too much. Because if you get into any relationship in a hurry, like you're in a hurry to seal the deal and get into the relationship immediately, then you're going to find that along the way, more and more you will get to know the person. And more you will see that maybe some parts of the person, some traits, some habits, some behaviors, you don't really like it. And then you're just going to make these constant tiny adjustments thinking, parang pwede na eh. Parang, hindi. Magbabago din yan. And while we're young, I guess medyo okay pa tong approach. While we're young. But as you grow older, wag kayo matamaan. As you grow older, you're going to see that, or you're going to realize for yourself that when you're dating, what you see is what you get. You don't go into a relationship expecting that you are going to change the person. You don't go into a relationship expecting that you will be able to kind of modify the person's behaviors over time to suit your needs. Usually, what you see is what you get. And even though sometimes, yes, the person will adapt even just a tiny bit to please you, it's always going to feel on their end, it's always going to feel like they're doing it just to please you. It's not something they really want to do, right? So you should have those limits and boundaries. You should have those standards that you have set for yourself. And if the person seems to fit those criteria, even then, you should just take a we'll see approach to things. You can keep going. You can keep trying to get to know the person a bit more. And by, you will see if you guys are a good fit for each other. Regardless of current events, regardless if Valentine's Day is coming up and you just want a date, all right, fine. Right, okay. You will achieve nothing by not putting yourself out there. But, to quote, this is going to be so Asian, to quote a passage or a quote from Confucius. And of course, I'm pretty sure may magbabash sa akin if I get this wrong. Pero what he said was, to go too far is the same as not going far enough. So if you take things too slow, if you take things too fast, both aren't all that good. You kind of have to make a middle path for yourself, and you have to just kind of take a wheelsy approach, and you have to not go to the extremes of anything. So, to answer the question, should I rush into a relationship? No, you should never rush into a relationship. You should always kind of play it by ear. And if you already have those limits and boundaries and those standards that you've already set for yourself, then you should be able to have certain criteria that if the person matches these criteria that you're looking for. Because what happens if you rush into a relationship and they don't meet those criteria, those standards, those limits and boundaries that you have set for yourself? What's going to happen there is that you're going to feel like you're settling. Pinagbibigyan mo. And over time, that small feeling of you constantly adjusting again and again for the sake of this person, what happens there? It turns into a negative feeling of spite. Some feeling in there that, bakit lagi na lang ako yung nag-a-adjust? The person is not showing yung same level of effort as I am. So, this grows and grows, and over time, this can actually wreck an otherwise good relationship. Kasi ramdam nung isa na hindi pantay yung effort. Hindi pantay yung nangyaring yung weight of yung contributions of the people involved in the relationship. So, it is definitely best na may makita ka na kamatch mo in terms of yung traits, yung it'll match your standards, limits, and boundaries, just so that hindi magkaroon ng ganyan. We don't want to go into relationships and end up coming out with feel like we didn't have a return on our emotional investment. Nagsayang lang tayo ng oras. Because in the first place, if we actually stuck to those standards we set for ourselves, then you wouldn't be there in the first place. The tendency is that most people, like myself included, even way back in the past, in my past relationships, naisip ko lang, pwede na yan. Parang pwede na to eh. That's it eh. And that's called settling. Because once it does reach the point where you get really irritated at how the person just doesn't match those ideals that you want in a partner, then it's going to shit. So I hope that this has been kind of helpful to those who are wondering if, like, say, they are currently in some kind of they're dating someone that they're not all that sure about. It's like in the early stages. Should they rush into the relationship? Should they get something concrete? Dapat may label na ba yan? I hope this really helps. In other words, siguro, in summary lang, don't rush into anything. Your standards and what you are looking for are definitely going to take top priority, especially if, of course, you yourself are constantly improving. You're always checking if there are things that you can improve about yourself, and being aware of your own strengths and weaknesses. Dapat granted na yan, so that you would be able to actually make these requirements, these standards for who you're going to date, or you would have the right to actually have these standards met, if that makes sense. Alam mo na dahil you're working on yourself and you have these strengths and these weaknesses, dahil dun, meron kang karapatan na maghanap ng gusto mo. Kasi ang kapal naman ng mukha, di ba? If naghahanap ka ng ganito, may standards ka kung anong hinahanap mo, tapos ikaw mismo, hindi ka nag-improve. Yung mga weaknesses mo, nandyan pa rin, tsaka you're just not working on them, and you have the attitude of, dapat tanggap ako ng tao na yun eh. Pero ikaw magde-demand ka na dapat perfect yung tao para sa'yo. No. That's not good, di ba? Unfair yan. So, I hope that this has been kind of helpful, especially for those who might be rushing to get into some kind of relationship, maybe just in time for Valentine's Day. If you found this helpful, please do leave a like, leave a comment if you've had maybe an experience na dati nagsettle ka for someone who wasn't so good for you. My sympathies, of course. Uh, if you have any topics that you would like for us to discuss, just go ahead and leave a comment right there then. And of course, as always, please do subscribe because we will be having more of these kinds of episodes for our sub-series of KENTalk Dating. Once again, this is Spicy Ken, and